So maybe you need one of these. Or it could be one of these. Maybe you need both of these. Or maybe you need all of these. Any way you look at it, trucking's what you do. Trucks are what we do. We need to make that connection there. This week, we're going to talk about doing that. And I know some of you guys have been interested in the type of gear that I use to film some of these. So we're going to take a dive into that too. There's rain coming. It's kind of drizzling now. So let's get into that. So guys, today's going to be a little bit different just from the fact that I know a lot of you enjoy fall for sipping on your pumpkin spice lattes, but it's drizzly outside. I don't really feel like getting soaked. I really don't feel like getting my camera gear soaked, of which I'm going to show you guys the camera gear that I use later on in the video. In fact, I'll put a timestamp for it down below. So today we're going to do a video that's going to be indoors, and I know a lot of you are looking for that first new truck, or you're looking to add to that fleet. And what I've really wanted to do for quite some time now, I've been kind of saving this concept, is to figure out and to talk to you guys about what's going to make it the smoothest and easiest and best way to move forward in getting that either first truck or expanding that fleet. In this, there's just a few major components that we need to look at in terms of getting the right truck for you. The two major components that we're going to look at first is the credit and finance side of it, and the other one is how the truck's going to be set up, because they kind of become intertwined with each other. So let's talk the credit and finance side of things. What do you need in order to get a new truck? The biggest two things that we're going to need to look at right up front are credit history and down payment. And those two are going to be related. Obviously, the better credit history you have, the lower down payment you're going to need, and the better rate that you're going to be able to get. Now, when I say credit history, there's two components to that. There's the personal credit history. If you've recently filed for bankruptcy or anything like that, we're probably not going to have a great source for financing on that. In the same sense, you may have great credit, but if you have zero truck credit or equipment credit, it's a little bit tougher to get that financed also. Now, we have ways to do it. So if either one of those two are the scenario for you, don't get discouraged on this. But know up front, we're probably going to need a slightly larger down payment on that. On the truck side of it, it's really figuring out what truck is best going to suit your needs. I have what is a great customer for me that approached me about a year and a half ago that threw down a spec on my desk and said, here, quote me this spec. And I know they did that same thing to Freight, they did that to Peter, they did that to Volt, they did that to... And when I looked at the spec was 22 years old. So I went back to the customer and said, wait, what do you guys do? What do you do with these trucks? And we started to open up a conversation about it. So here I quoted the truck that they wanted me to, but I also quoted a truck that was going to do a lot better for them. And here it turned out it was about $4,200 less expensive. Needless to say, the customer is really happy. They've gone with that truck. And as a matter of fact, I just delivered another truck to them about a week and a half ago. And the shop, the driver, everyone is thrilled with that first truck. So finding that truck fit is kind of that other step in this process. Having an idea of what you do, what you want, and some of the features in the truck, we can get you in the right range for a price and then start to work with the financing from there. Now, in the links below, I'm going to put a link to our credit application. You can go online, secure application for you. You can fill that out, and it puts us one step ahead of the game. I feel like it's my job to help educate you on what all options are out there that we can go with that may help you. Because really, this is a tool. They're great looking tools, but it's a tool. And it's what you're going to use to make your money with. So let's make sure that it's going to do those jobs as well as possible. That's the overall, really, what we have to do with this. We've got everything's finalized. We've got a deposit from you. We've got a signature from you on the purchase agreement. So what's next? Yep, we wait. Right now, build times aren't out that terribly far. So getting that order in early is obviously a key in all this, but we wait for Kenworth to build your truck. When it shows up here, that should be for another video, shouldn't it? I think so. I think I've strung you guys along far enough on this one today. I am excited. We've got a couple of new ones coming in here in the next couple of weeks. And what I would like to do is go over our process from when it hits the driveway over here to when it rolls back over the curb down the road. So guys, one of the things that I occasionally get asked about is what I'm filming with, because I know some of you out there do your own videos also. And it's always interesting to see what people use and how they're getting the results that they're getting. So, as I said before, you can skip ahead and stuff if you want to, but this part right here, I'm going to show you some of the stuff that I use in order to get the videos that you guys seem to like. So first off, I'm going to ask for a little forgiveness here. This is being filmed on a GoPro. To me, I don't want to say it's difficult to stomach that, but yes. And I do use the GoPros quite a bit. Anytime you see footage like around a tire or something like that, or of suspension or anything of that nature, that's usually done with one of the GoPros that I have. Now the GoPros that I have are older. One of these days I am going to be looking at some of the newer ones. Those film actually in 1080, but for the most part they work out really well for me. So I'm going to get this out of the way first. This tripod. It's pretty slick how it folds out. There's 3 stages to the legs here. All goes together really nice, really easy, really simple to move around for me. That is really the biggest thing with this, is it's simple to move around. Plus, this I can set it up and it goes nice and compact so I can get it in a truck. Most of the interior shots that you see me doing, I'm filming with one of the wider lenses that I have, and I've actually got this set up as close to the door as I can. With all of this adjustability in this, makes it really easy to get a fair bit of the interior in the shot. Is this like a little kid before Christmas here? Batteries, extra SD cards, camera batteries. So if I want to get a camera out of the side, there's this cool side pocket where I can go in. Let's move this down a hair so you guys can see what all we got in here. So there's plenty of storage pockets in here, and the way it's set up, just it becomes super versatile for me. Top down? Let's go with that. Up here's my drone. I use the DJI Spark. If I remember correctly, I've got something like 60 hours in the air with this, and I've got like 50 miles on it also. To me, this thing's been just super useful. There are a ton of cool shooting modes with it. If you're looking for a drone that's compact, can go anywhere, and get you really good shots, DJI Spark is it. Now, one of the ways that I make this footage out of the Spark look better is I have a set of Polar Pro filters, and these just clip on over the camera in the drone, which allows me to use the ND filter. There's also polarized. I keep the polarizer on there. It really helps cut down reflection off of the trucks and things of that nature with the drone. Next up, we're going to stay a little bit with some of the boring stuff. We're going to get to the good stuff, trust me. Actually, a couple of these lights, I usually carry one with me because I never know when there's an area that I'm going to need to light up. They're an LED light. They're adjustable, so when you turn them on, you can really change the brightness with them. These have been handy for when I've done interior shots and things of that nature, because the interior in a truck, it's meant to stay dark. You're gonna sleep back there. Part of the cool thing about this is it can go onto a tripod stand, or it can fit into the hot shoe in the top of my camera. So that way it can just mount to the top of the camera. Wherever I'm pointed, it's gonna go. So I usually keep one of these in the bag. Like I said, I've got a couple of them that I use for different scenarios. If I know I'm gonna be spending a lot of time in an interior, I usually have one of these in there with it. So speaking of the GoPro that's mounted up there, I usually keep one GoPro in the bag, depending on what I'm gonna shoot. Sometimes I'll bring both of them. This is a suction cup mount. This thing, I don't know how many miles it has on it, but it's a lot. And it has never failed me, knock on wood. So over here is my Tascam audio piece. And this, as you guys can see, I use a lav mic setup typically. And I just got this recently. This is the DR10L. This thing has been amazing. I had another setup, and you guys remember when I used to get some glitchy audio? That was because I was using a setup that was just kind of cheap and not necessarily meant for that. This is just been phenomenal for me. It's been error-free. There's all sorts of safeties on it in terms of you can screw this down. It records at 2 different volume levels for me, so if I scream, I can still use the audio track. And as you guys can hear, it gives pretty darn good audio. In this bottom pocket down here, this is the controller for the drone. It's got a decent range. It works well. It also, the nice thing about it is, I have the holder for it, so that way I can use this with my phone. It lets me view the phone much better, much easier. And this plugs in, so that way when I'm looking through the phone, there's really not hardly any latency whatsoever. What camera bag is complete without a handkerchief? No, it's a lens cleaning cloth. We'll bring out the camera stuff next, because that's kind of my favorite part. This is the Sony a7 III. When this camera came out, I was all excited about it. I absolutely love this camera. I really do. When I was purchasing this camera, I got it from a local camera shop called The Pixel Connection. I asked them about lenses, and they asked me what I really did. I had gone in there with 2 or 3 lenses in mind that I thought, hey, these are the ones that I'm gonna want. They talked me into 2 different lenses, and I'm really glad that they did. So the lenses that I've got is I've got the, this is a 24-105 f4. This lens this is my go-to lens for almost anything and everything. I absolutely love this. The other one that I have, this is just a 35mm f2.8 lens. A little bit wider aperture. Now, 2 things that I like about this lens is it's really small, it's really lightweight, and that'll come into play when I talk about the next piece of equipment that we're gonna, the next box, so to say. So on top of that, we have filters. And these are not your Snapchat or Instagram filters. These are not gonna put devil horns on anything, or it's not gonna change my voice. What these filters do is, like, this one's just a protective one that stays on there. This is a polarizing filter, and what it does is it makes sure only certain light gets into the camera, into the lens. The one that I use the most is the ND filter. I've got a 40.5mm for the 35mm, and then I've got a 77mm, which is what goes on to my 24-105. This allows me to change how much light goes in the camera, so that way I can have the camera settings the way I want to, and just change the amount of light this way. Ever since I got this, it has totally changed the way I've been able to film. Yes, I use one of these, but it's kind of beat up from clacking too much. There's a number of reasons why people use these. For me, it helps me sync the audio. It makes it so the audio and the video can line up better. The other thing is, though, this is white. There's something called white balance. And some of my videos, it's been off, and I get it, where the color's not quite correct. This really helps me in getting the coloring of the videos correct. Let's talk all that B-roll stuff that I do. That happens in here. This is a Zhiyun Crane Plus gimbal. This thing is what gives me that super smooth footage. When I've got the camera on it, doesn't matter how I move it, what I do, there's actually a motor in here, a motor in here, and a motor in here. Keeps it straight, keeps it level, keeps it so that way, I mean, any shaking that I do or anything like that doesn't show up on camera. So when I combined this, I also typically, my Sony camera there will film, when I film in 4K, I typically film 24 frames per second. When I'm filming on this, I typically film it to 120 frames per second. What that allows me to do is that allows me to slow things down 5 times. So 5 times slow motion, basically. Between that and the smoothness of this, that's how I do that epic B-roll, so to say. So that is the gear tour. As always, I want to thank you guys for coming along the ride. I've enjoyed talking about this. If you guys want to see more information like this in terms of the business side of it and the back side of it, definitely game to do that for you guys. Let me know in the comments below. As always, if you think we earned it, do me a favor, give me the thumbs up. Stay safe out there. Keep it rubber side down. I'll catch you on the flip side. Problem is, sitting here, I don't have a good spot to walk off to. Maybe I'll just...